Hey, what's up everybody, it's Mouzon. Welcome to another review episode. I know I haven't done a review episode in a long time, technically a review episode in a long time, but I have been posting content on my YouTube pretty regularly now for the last 6 or 7 weeks. I've been posting new videos, definitely got for more content, more music centered, still talking about Jesus, still preaching the gospel, still trying to reach out to others and reach out to my generation, but more so trying to get into my other niches as well, which is music. As long as I've known it, I've been interested in music. I've been interested since I was like 12, 13 years old. I remember sneaking to watch old Ludacris videos back when I was like 12 or 13. I remember being at my grandmother's house and her letting me watch whatever I wanted to watch to keep me quiet. And I'd be watching old Master P and Romeo Miller videos, and Romeo had the chains on. He was sitting in front of the Rolls Royce Phantom. Like, I remember, like, I just always been so enamored with music culture. And back then, a couple years ago, for the wrong reasons, as I've told you my story over and over again, I was enamored for music, with music for the wrong reasons. But now, I'm in it for the right reasons, and I want to help others and bless others. But I've just been so enamored with music culture for as long as I can remember, and I've developed this ear for knowing what a good song sounds like, knowing what good music sounds like. And it's been respected by some people, like, oh, you have a good ear, I want you to hear this, or oh, I want you to give me your opinion on this, stuff like that. But I more so want to let out my opinion of what a dope song is, how to make a hit. So the title of this video is How Do I Make a Hit Song? That's the title for this video. For those of you who may be watching just because of the keywords, you typed in how to make a hit song and you're listening to some Christian guy tell you how to make a hit song, sorry about it, but I'm telling you, this is how you correctly make a hit song. The first point I want to give you about making a hit song is having the right worldview. So before you even make the song, you want to make sure that you have the right worldview. Yes, like I just said, you're listening to the Christian guy tell you how to make a hit song. And because I know what's hot and what's not. But the first thing, a lot of mistake that's going on still today in today's culture with a lot of musicians in secular hip hop is that the content is trash. That the content is sex, the content is drugs, the content is weed, the content is money, the content is girls. That's the content. The content is lust, the content is greed, wickedness. That's the content. And the first way to ruin a song is by making it trash with your words. What are you talking about? So the first thing in making a hit song, you wanna ask yourself, what am I going to talk about? You want to look at what you're talking about. What you're talking about is the most important thing. People nowadays can get by. I was just listening. I think Gary Vee is like a famous guy in media and social media and content. He had posted a song on his Instagram story. I think it was called Mumbo Jumbo or whatever, and it was just some girl or some person mumbling over a dope beat, and it was called Mumbo Jumbo, and it was just some girl mumbling over a dope beat, just mumbling or stupid words over a dope beat, and it just flowed. But you can literally make music and not have any substance to it today. But the number one way in making a hit is to have substance to your records. You want to make sure that all your records have some type of substance. So what is the worldview that you are presenting? And then for the listener that may be listening, well, how do I let me see how a hit song is made. If you're a listener listening, you don't really make music, then you should know that you shouldn't be listening to anything that has the wrong worldview outside of the biblical worldview. But you shouldn't be listening to any song that has a wrong worldview. The wrong worldview will mess you up for whatever else you want to listen to. So you want to make sure that your worldview is correct. Number 2, whatever music that you're making, make sure that the song stays on theme. That's the second tip. Whatever music that you're making, when you're making your song, make sure that the lyrics stay on theme. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to songs that have the title of one thing, but then it talks about a whole bunch of other things. That is titled tailor-made, but it's not talking about how that person's tailor-made, or why that person's tailor-made, or how that person's tailor-made. When you're making a song, those are the 3 things you want to focus on. If you say that if the song's title is tailor-made, tell me why you're tailor-made. Tell me how you're tailor-made, and tell me what is being tailor-made. And that's how you create a song. Stay on theme with your music. I was just listening to a song, I'm going to do another video about in this new series I'm going to be doing called Song by Song, where I break down some songs that I really don't like, or some songs I do like, and talk about what makes them good and what makes them trash. And in this particular song, this person had a title of one thing, but I did not hear why this was, why the title was, what the title was talking about in the song. I didn't hear them mention this title, this aspect, or whatever they were talking about in the song. They were talking about a whole bunch of other things, trying to flex their bar skills. And that's one thing you don't want to do whenever you're making music. You want to make sure that you make music that stays on theme. Don't make a song talking about Christmas and you know talking about Christmas and you're spitting about Thanksgiving. Don't make a song that's talking about, it's supposed to be talking about Thanksgiving and you're talking about Christmas. That's number one. Number two thing, when you're making a hit song, make sure that you stay on theme. Number three, you want to make sure that whatever songs that you're making, the beat accomplishes its purpose. You don't want to make any songs where the beat does not accomplish its purpose. If you're writing a song title, or it's a chill song, or it's a slow song, love song, hot song, whatever, hype beat song, whatever song it is, and that's what you're writing, you don't want to select a beat that doesn't have anything to do with the mood of what you're writing about. That I can't tell you how many times I listen to songs and I'm like, man, this would sound better if it was on a different beat, because they didn't select the beat properly. In their head, they thought that the beat would sound properly, but they didn't run it through a number of people and make sure, at the end of the day, like I said in one of my other videos, you want to make sure that you make content that you want to make. So if you want to choose this beat and everybody else think it's whack and you think it's dope, do what you do. But if you want the people to love you, want the people to respect it, you want to make sure that you have a good ear for your music, and make sure that if you're writing a hype beat type of song, you want to make sure that it's on a hype beat and it's the right hype beat. If you're writing a chill song, you want to make sure that it's on the right chill beat and not, the wrong chill beat, because it could just mess up the whole way. However far you wanted to take the single, the beat is what you need. The beat is the best, the most important ingredient to however you take a single. The single could be trash. Look at this day and age. A lot of individuals today are making trash music on dope beats, and they're selling out shows and getting a whole bunch of publicity, but they're not talking about anything of substance. But because they have the right producer with them, the producer carries the music. So instrumentals are so important, so vital when in the creation of your music. And you want to make sure that you either, in the beginning of your career, find a hot producer and stick with that producer, and only be known, like Jay-Z is only known for getting with a couple of producers. YG is only known for getting with a couple of producers. And then in the CHH circles, Cardiac Drums and Juice Bangers are known with the RMG Reflection Music Group camp. You want to make sure that if you have a fire producer, that you stick with them your whole career and not expand your sound past certain producers, because the wrong producer, you choose a beat and it can mess up your whole career because the beat carries a song. So instrumentals are so important when you're making music. Getting back into lyricism, one of the things that makes a song a hit is making sure that you don't fit too many bars in one line. That's a lot of times you hear in songs, a lot of people run out of breath trying to get this bar to say all these different things, trying to flex their muscles, and it makes them sound like they rushed it. It makes them sound like they're trying to fit too many words in this bar, trying to be all creative, and it messes it up, or it makes you off beat because you're trying to say too much instead of letting instead of taking charge of the beat or letting the beat ride. And those of you who aren't music makers, you may not understand my lingo, so forgive me, but you want to make sure that whenever you're making your music, that you and the beat are working simultaneously. You don't want to try to fit too many bars into this one line, and it throws the rest of the song off. So that's one of the things to keep in mind when you're making your music. You want to make sure that your bars, that they're not too many. You're not trying to preach a sermon in 5 minutes. You're not trying to preach a 45-minute message in a 5-minute song. You want to make sure that you're being playful. You're being playful, and you're having fun, but you're not trying to fit too many eggs in one basket. Another thing that makes a hit record is discerning when to add a feature and when not to add a feature. A lot of artists these days add a whole lot of features which some are needed because some artists are feature heavy artists because they can't carry a whole bunch of songs by themselves. They can carry a 2.5 minute song by themselves. Not that many artists have the lyricism to carry a 5-minute song or a 4-minute song. Or like I recently heard on Jared Sanders' new album, he had a 9-minute record. Like he had a 9-minute record, but he's a lyricist, so he can carry himself that long. I thought my camera cut off. He can carry himself on a 9-minute record extremely well because he's a lyricist. But one thing you want to keep in mind when you're making your music is make sure that you discern whether or not you need to add a feature. I know of one artist named Mouzon. Mouzon doesn't need that many features on his records. He can carry a record by himself. He can make a whole 12-song album by himself. The people might get bored of that, but because of his talent and his creative ability to be able to change his voice and to get on different records, he can carry a whole album by himself. It might not be wise because people might get bored of you, but that's one example of one artist. Wale is another artist that can carry a whole album by himself. 2 Chainz is another artist that can carry an album by himself. J. Cole, Jay-Z, a lot of these artists who are known for their pen, they can carry Eshawn Burgundy, another one. They can carry a whole album by themselves and not need no features because of their pen. So if your pen is weak, you might need to add features. But another good thing when making a hit, you want to be able to, because when you're making an album, should say, not when you're making a hit. When you're making an album, it's important to know that features help carry that album. You want to add features not because you can't hold a song on your own, but to carry a certain song and to make people not get bored of you. That's the number one reason why features are in place, so that people don't get bored of you. If I make a 15-song album and it's just me, people are gonna get bored of just hearing just me. They're gonna hear me they're gonna want to hear me go against somebody else. But if I add somebody else on 2 or 3 records, it balances it out. And if I'm creative with my own voice and with my own music, it's not gonna make much of a difference, or they're not gonna notice because of how well I can carry a song by myself. So when you're making a hit song, you want to make sure that you discern whether or not you need a feature or not. If you know your pen is not that good, you may need 3 or 4 or 5 features on your album. But if your pen is that good, you may only need 1 or 2. And on that 1 or 2, those 1 or 2 are going to be singles that's going to carry that song an extra way. That's another purpose of features, that to carry a song. So another purpose of remixes as well. Remixes, when you add features onto them, it carries a song to another height. Another tip in making a hit is making sure that it's mixed properly. I think one of the keys of the week in one of my other videos, I talked about making sure that the beat and your voice aren't fighting for position. Another thing that makes a hit is when it's mixed properly. I talked about in that specific video, I don't know which week it was, I think it was maybe in the early on, maybe week 1 or week 2. I talked about in the video how you want to make sure that you give your music all different types of tests. You want to test it on the iPad, the phone, the laptop, the earbuds, the Dre Beats headphones, the studio stereo, your stereo system in your car. You want to let your friends hear it. You want to make sure that in everywhere where people are going to listen to your music, that it sounds perfect. You don't want to make sure that it sounds good on the laptop but not good in the car, because most people are going to be listening to your music in the car or working out, stuff like that. And if it's not mixed properly, it throws off the whole vibe of the album. I may not want to listen to that album. That's one thing when it comes to Apple Music, the streaming records, they're mixed lower. A lot of times you have to turn the volume up on the records when you make them and you put them on Apple Music, because how Apple Music kind of masters them or does whatever they do to them, they turn the volume down. I know from one instance with Aha Gazelle record, he has a record called I Don't Know You Jack, and it's streaming on Apple Music. I don't listen to that record on Apple Music because it doesn't thump on Apple Music, because they suppress it for some strange reason. But when I go to SoundCloud and listen to that record, it thumps in my car. It makes a totally different thing. It's mixed and mastered and it's on SoundCloud and it's louder and it thumps. But on Apple Music kind of suppresses it. And if it's not mixed well, and when it goes into Apple Music, the bass is not going to hit as hard in your car. So yeah, you want to make sure that your songs are mixed properly. You want to make sure that wherever people listen to your music at, that they have an enjoyable experience. Another thing that makes a hit is the season or the timing of the song. When you drop a song in the summer, when you prepare a song, you know that you're making a song for the summer, or you're making a song for the winter, or you're making a song for the fall, or for Christmas time, or whatever like that. You want to make sure that when you're in the makings of a hit, they're dropped at the right time. Every hit was dropped at the right time, because that's how it takes off. When somebody like, for instance, the Meek Mill Dreams and Nightmares track, that song was dropped at the right time. That's Meek Mill's biggest record today. I'm a Boss is not Meek Mill's biggest record. Dreams and Nightmares, the intro, is his biggest record. I don't remember when it is. I think it was dropped towards like the new year of 2011, 2012. I think it was dropped towards the new year, like 2012, of the new year, 2012. I think that's when that record was dropped. But it was dropped at the right time. And then Meek Mill didn't even have that much promo for that album, but that intro took off, and it was dropped at the right time, and it took off, and people still play it in the clubs today. So everybody who makes music, they drop music at the right time, not because of by accident, but on purpose. Another way to make a hit is to have relatable bars. I talked about bars previously. I talked about content and making sure that the content, what you're talking about, isn't trash. Within that, you want to make sure that the bars are relatable. What are you talking about in your music? Are you talking about things that nobody knows about, or are you talking about things that are relatable? You want to make sure that you're talking about things that are relatable to the public, the people who are hearing you. If you're talking about all this fly, fancy stuff that can't nobody get their hands on, ain't nobody want to listen to your records except to dream. But if you're talking about stuff that they're going through, if you're talking about stuff that they know about, if you're being real personable, that's what makes a hit. And then lastly, I'm going to put two into one. It's about your passion for music and being yourself. So the last step or hit, there's probably more than these 10 or 11 or 12, how many ever I've given you. There's probably more than these. But out of these, one of the most important, the last one, is to be passionate about your music and to be yourself. A lot of times you can tell on a record who's passionate and who's not by their voice. Where their voice sounds, I'm not saying you have to yell and get hoarse in the booth, yelling and screaming your records because you're so passionate. But there has to be a certain authenticity, a certain passionate that, emotion of passion that comes off when you're making your records. I can tell when somebody's passionate on a song or when somebody's just being generic. I can tell authenticism versus genericism, if that's even a word. I can tell when somebody's being generic and sound like somebody else, or when they're really coming on a record, really being passionate about what they're doing. So these were some tips about what makes a hit a hit. Let me know your feedback on what you think makes a hit a hit. I am Andrew Mouzon. Until next time, peace.